Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about the MERN stack and whether or not you should broaden your horizons. So let's get into it. So the question in question was posted on a video that I made about how like a economical recession might affect your job availability and it might be harder for you to actually find jobs and so forth. So the question was, Frederick, thank you so much for making the video. I can really feel that there is an increasing problem for me where I live to find employment. I've been applying for my first job as a MERN developer for the past 2 months, and still I am unlucky enough to not get my first job. Do you think it's better to broaden my skill set horizontally, like learn more technologies, for example, TypeScript, GraphQL, and Next.js? Or is it better to just take a big dive and build products with the MERN stack? Well, I would say that I would just stop you right there, and I would do a reality check first and foremost. That's the number one thing that you should do at this point. It's also what I actually wrote back to this comment. I said that the first and foremost thing you need to know is what is requested in your region. Like I can't answer any of these questions about should you go broader or should you go like more in depth, should you make more projects, because I don't know the first thing about your skill level. I think since you're looking for your first job, going wider might be a good choice if the jobs that are available to you actually request that sort of experience. Whereas if you're already covering it, and like most of the companies out in your region is using the MERN stack, well, then showcasing that you actually know that stack well is probably a better idea than going wider. That's the thing, guys. You have to think a little bit about this. It's of course useful to know a lot of tools. I'm not going to deny that that gives you a lot of flexibility. But let's be honest here. If you're looking for your first job, no, odds are that you're not actually at the point where you're going to have a good foundation in any of the tools. Like if you go really broad, it's very unlikely that you're going to be really good at them. The only thing that at best someone with a lot of experience is going to see when they see that is, well, this person probably has a lot of passion, and that does count for something. Don't fool yourself. Passion does count, but no senior developer or no one who's even remotely experienced is going to go, wow, this person is so awesome. They know all these things, because the first thing that a reasonable person will assume is that this is your first job and you claim that you know 1,000 tools. Of course, your knowledge of this is going to probably be skin deep. Nobody's gonna that so I hope that makes sense to you. It's much more effective for you to focus on the things that will get your foot in the door and get really good at those things, because once you have raised your market value above total beginner, no previous employment, your market value will actually start to skyrocket, and then you can start thinking about adding more advanced tooling. I mean, if you're just doing it because it's fun, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. Go for it. Just go wild and learn all the things that you want. But if the intention here is to invest your time in the things that will matter towards employment or towards doing well with freelancing gigs or whatever, doesn't matter really what it is, you have to have a core set of skills, a foundation somewhere. And there is a cutoff point. You just like one example would be that you mentioned TypeScript. TypeScript is a very useful thing, but it's not a hard requirement to make it as a programmer. GraphQL, it's practically pointless for you to learn unless, of course, you just happen to be in a part of the world where there's a lot of people who want to be working with it because it's hyped. Next.js is the same sort of thing. The norm, if my knowledge isn't outdated, is that you work with Express in most cases when you're dealing with Node.js. Most companies do. I might have been outdated, but as far as I know, that's still the norm, right? So that doesn't mean that Next is bad or that you shouldn't learn it. It's just about your prioritization. Where are you putting your time? And to address the should you go dive into bigger and larger products in the MERN stack, it all depends. on what like what is your strategy for getting people interested in your profile. Because the thing is, you can go really deep into building like a lot of portfolio projects, and as a beginner, I'm just going to be honest with you, odds are that you're not going to be able to build something that is all that super impressive to someone with a lot of technical understanding. But what you can do is to start thinking about your foundation and your core skills. Do you actually know what you need to know in order to make it in the industry? Don't just start making like arbitrary projects in the MERN stack just because you think that that's going to impress somebody. You really have to think about the broader perspective, because as I started saying, if you don't know if the MERN stack is even something that is requested in your region, you have to figure that out, because you might actually be working in a stack where nobody's going to hire you. It doesn't matter really how much you want to work in the MERN stack, because if everybody's doing C# or Java in your region, what does it matter? And then you have to ask yourself, do you want to ignore that most of the jobs are in a different stack, or are you going to get on board with that and try to learn it so that you can get your foot in the door? So what I want you to take away from this is that it's impossible for me to tell you whether or not you should broaden your perspective on the tooling that you know, or if you should go dive in harder on the stuff that you already know, without you actually knowing yourself what's going to yield the best results. Because I'm not from your region, I don't know where you live. And if you are developing your skills in the MERN stack, I need to assume, which I can't, that this is the thing that is going to yield the best results for you long term, and that is usually measured by the job availability in your region. If that's not the case, if it turns out that, hey, you're actually not so aware of what tools are being requested or things of this nature, well, then you need to figure that out. So that's my advice to you. Go to the job postings and figure out what is the most requested thing. You can even talk to some people from your region, just see like what are most of the companies working with, and get a little bit of a list of tooling and see how well do I know those tools. Because the thing is, it doesn't matter if you know 100 things that is not on that list. That doesn't matter to the company. What matters is that you know the stuff that's on that list, and ideally as well as you can. So once you have that list, now you can answer the question, should I learn more, or should I go deeper onto the things that I already know? That's how I think about it. Have a great day.